Hello, beautiful soul fam. Welcome to Readings by KNM Witchery. My name is Kat Nicoletta Monroe, for those of y'all who may not know. And this is a karmic reading. Pick a card. Now, before you scroll down and pick your piles, I hope you stay tuned to learn exactly what it is that we're going to be diving into, because it's going to be a little bit different, right? Now, the cards before you are your energies, because what we're going to do initially is dive into your current state and likely the cause of people's negativity, evil eyes, jealousy, etc. Okay? Now, what we're also going to do is pull in some of the positive karma that people receive from being in your presence, from honoring you and respecting you and never taking your kindness for granted, okay? Because karma is but a lesson that comes around time and time again in different forms, in different clothing, in order for us to finally learn and thus break a cycle with changed behavior and consistent intention towards change. After this, and you feel as though, yes, this is your pile, that's where we're going to choose a tarot deck. I haven't done that yet because I'm going to just choose as we go, okay? So any decks that I use are going to be listed down below. We're going to dive into who it is that is currently being judged by karma, okay? So those who perhaps maybe didn't do right by you or are sending you some form of energy. Could it be spell work? Not necessarily, okay? Sometimes people's projection is enough for us to catch on as intuitives, right? Like we just know sometimes without always having the proof, but hey, energies don't lie, but words can, right? So we're going to see beyond the veil, through any facades, and denote who it is and thus what exactly is their judgment here. What is their consequence for not particularly learning any lessons or honoring you, etc., depending on what your personal situations may be. Okay, thumbs up. Hopefully that is well understood. Before we go ahead to the pick a pile section, I just want y'all to know that there is still a limited time sale on all of my psychic services available at knmwitchery.com. It is the only place you could ever book with me. Okay, so I will never message you for anything. So yeah, be sure to take advantage, okay, and save a few dollars if you need to. Now, there is also a lovely new introduction to my channel called Soul Fam Saturdays, where I go live and y'all join in and I intuitively pull your energies for you through tarot, through oracle, through whatever it means it is. Sometimes I just sit there and I'm like, okay, yep, here's your energy and da-da-da-da-da-da, right? So I hope, if of course you're open to it, you will join in on the next Saturday, because I would absolutely love to meet more of you, for y'all to get to know me a little bit better, and for me to just continue doing what it is that I am here to do authentically, intuitively, and powerfully in my own nature. So that's my little gift to y'all. If there's any questions about that, do pop it in the comment section below, okay? But otherwise, let's dive in, shall we? You have 4 piles before you. Remember, this is your energy that we are first tapping into, okay? So when I pulled these cards, the intention was for you, soul fam, not for the people or person, whomever it is that you are channeling through today. That will come later. So pay very close attention to the energies behind these piles. You can choose more than one if you are so called. Trust your intuition. Perhaps you're unable to take your eye off of a pile, or you're hearing a number replaying in your head, or you can just feel it in your gut and know that intuitively behind this particular pile lie the answers that are seeking you today. So, without further ado, and you may pause, of course, if you require a little bit more time, scroll down to the description box, choose your particular pile, and I'll see y'all on the other side. Hello, beautiful pile number 1. Thank you for choosing to spend some time with me today. If you want the full rundown of what it is that you could specifically expect with today's reading, please go back to the introduction and the about this reading chapter so you can get a full rundown, okay? Because it's a little bit different than maybe you expect. So, without further ado, let's dive on in. The cards that came out for you are Collective, Trust the Goodness in Others. We have Step, Don't Be Afraid to Move and Change. Lovely. Actually, we'll bring this down for now. And we also have Boundaries. Where do you need to establish better boundaries? All right, so this is your energy here, okay? The circumstances that you have likely chosen to partake in, any of the decisions that you have made, lessons have learned, have brought you to this particular moment right here and right now. And Spirit is really emphasizing the word trust for my pile number 1s today, okay? Yes, you have been hurt before, okay? Sometimes the purest hearts are actually forged in fire. It takes a lot for us to be able to discern as kind, loving individuals who is in fact good for us. And I can tell through the energy alone that it was likely through many forms of manipulation, perhaps maybe some narcissism or ways that you were raised, social media's expectations and all of that. It kind of tainted your perspective on interconnection. And it might also have been that you turn towards hyper-independence. And that typically happens when we feel as though we cannot trust and depend on those around us. So we kind of push them away, right? Now, where the trust comes into play is Spirit wants y'all to know that not every single person is in fact going to cause you some harm, okay? Not every person has the intention to hurt you or to squander you or to see you fail, okay? That may have been a narrative that you are used to and likely why it is that you are tuning in today. And we're going to dive into the karma of those people, okay? Don't worry about it. But right now, so fam, beautiful pile number 1s, I want you to know that your boundaries are for you to protect your peace, okay? Not to completely isolate and seclude yourself and never feel connection. This is coming from someone who also had undergone, difficult life experiences, including narcissistic abuse by a parent. So I do understand the narrative of not really knowing who it is that you can trust when the people that you are supposed to trust are untrustworthy. And it took me a long time to be able to open up my heart and love myself authentically and purely and truly to my own best capabilities and to open up to others. Some of the best things actually that saved me, for lack of better words, was speaking out, was reaching out, was trusting in this message today, in knowing that there are people who care, there are people who are more willing to understand, even though they may not ever grasp the pain and the magnitude of your struggles, they're still going to be willing to stand by you. And I've had this beautiful opportunity, which I hope that you are now allowing yourself to embark on and perhaps play witness to and be open to a community of like-minded souls and hearts that are just wanting the same things as you. And this is where we bring in collective, right? I built my beautiful KNM Witchery Soul Fam community where people can freely come and go, where people are actually welcome to say, I disagree with you, and I say, that's okay. So long as you're kind, it has no bother to me. We're free thinkers here at the end of the day. So where the boundaries come on in is where you choose to remove yourself through your powerful discernment away from people, places, and even things, workplaces, etc., that deplete you, that take advantage of you. Okay? And to my people pleasers in the room, that might have been something really difficult for you to learn, or perhaps maybe you are still currently learning this habit of setting boundaries where it is required. And Spirit is coming through me to you today to say, to stop being afraid, okay? To move out of past narratives and choose change, choose the light. This is honestly kind of giving me hermit energy, you know, where like he's holding the lantern and walking into that dark forest or that shadow aspect of himself, but there's nothing but light here, right? Don't be afraid, Soul Fam, to choose happiness, right? We oftentimes forget on this path of healing and spirituality that joy and happiness and finding contentment and peace within yourself is actually part of the journey too. There isn't always something that you need to freaking fix or overthink or try to understand or feel through, right? Like sometimes we get stuck in those narratives of like, well, I just need to keep like crying it out or XYZ will never appreciate me, which is like, it's false. What is it that you're working so hard for you to obtain right now? It's peace, it's love, it's community, it's acceptance in your own right by people who want your light. Even if it's just from yourself, you know, like maybe you feel as though you have lost your spark. And Spirit is saying that you never really have. It was just dimmed a little bit because there was something else in the shadows that you were meant to see. And you are powerful now to stand tall and to take the hand of another. And you have already learned your karma is now rewarding you, beautiful pile number one, to break free, to join a community, to make your own, even if that community is your own family. Again, it could just literally be you. But to stop pushing away everyone and everything else in fear of them hurting you. Because I promise you, as much as there is evil in this world, there is an equal amount of good. We just have to fight a little bit harder for that. And you have. You already have, my beautiful pile number ones. You have already learned how to align within yourself and not constantly give in to those who are trying to grab onto your energy. You said, no, this is for me so that I can be there for those who are open to it too. Oftentimes, those who avoid us are actually avoiding an aspect of themselves that we are reflecting within them. And I think that is the lesson that you have been invited to learn. And I love that there's like this beautiful contrast here of like the darkness and the light, right? And then the people in white. That's not how every card is in this deck, but it is absolutely beautiful that you have found a wonderful balance within. And sometimes even in the darkness, there are those who are willing to help and guide you on your way. And even in the light, you can enjoy it on your own too. Finding that love within yourself, I think, is very admirable and inspirational, if I do say so myself. So let's zoom right back out. What we're going to do is we're going to stay on this positive bandwagon for just a little bit longer. We're going to shuffle in and learn the positive karma that people receive when they respect you, love you, care for you, when they choose to follow in your brave footsteps that you have forged and trailblazed along the way. We have initiation. All right. So you, soul fam, are the type of person that literally initiates people's awakening, okay? You allow people the permission to be authentic, to set boundaries, to learn about what community and positive collective energy is really all about. You allow people the opportunities, the will, the drive, the motivation, the inspiration to take those steps that they never thought they could until you came into their lives and showed them that they can. Even if it's indirectly. Some of y'all can literally be healers, therapists, nurses, etc. You kind of want to put everyone back together again, because Lord knows that not all hurt people. Some choose to go on a path of healing because you never want to be the type that would cause the same types of pain that you have undergone. And you initiate people's will and drive to push forward. Very beautiful, pile number one. I love this. What else? What are the positive karmic rewards that people receive? Direction. Yeah. What was I saying? You're a freaking trailblazer. You break the mold of tradition, of expectation, and you allow others to again do the same. Notice how there's this beautiful like balance here as well. I'm hearing one more. I heard from the top. Okay, we have authentic. Shut up. Like, you can't make this up. God, I love my job. Pile number one. You allow other people the bravery to stand firm within themselves as they are. And that's never through the expectation of perfection, but it is through the belief that you are perfect as you are. Giving people the ability to remove that doubt and all of those limiting beliefs that kept them small offers them direction, initiation to truly be themselves. That is something that is still so rare. But I do believe that as the age of Aquarius opens up to the general collective, the evil and the hatred and the darkness in this world will be blinded by the light. That's never to say it won't exist. It has to. But it will only exist within ourselves in order for us to shine brighter onto it. Now my window is open and there was like someone's car that was like running, you know, a motor was on. So it could be that people have stalled for so long and it took someone like you, pile number one, to come into their lives and show them the way. For what it's worth, it is an honor for y'all to be here today, okay? So just because this card here reminds me of the genie lamp, if you do resonate with this portion of the reading, go ahead and drop down one of those genie lamps down below. Feel free to choose your color because I think there's like different types of genies. There's like a blue one and like a green one and like a pink one, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up, but like go ahead and do that, okay? Because you are a wish granted for so many people, pile number one, and I would love for you to begin to actually recognize that within yourself as well. It would be really good for y'all to do that, I believe. So that was absolutely beautiful. We're going to kind of close this off here. Now, everything that I had pulled already, right, has both a positive outcome and a negative reaction, because not everybody can handle the light that you are shining down on people. And perhaps maybe it is through taking such brave leaps and bounds into yourself and setting boundaries that it kind of rubs people the wrong way, okay? Like, that's kind of like the sense that I am getting here. So, Spirit, point me towards the direction. Got it. We're going to be using the Fountain Tarot for y'all today, okay? So we're going to learn who it is that is unfortunately getting more of like the shittier end of the stick of karma, right? Like, they haven't learned the lessons. They didn't choose to love on themselves a little bit more, right? And we'll take it from there. Yep. Okay. I heard stop for now. So, it could be an earth sign, but I don't typically get kind of stuck on these kind of things, okay? It could be someone that is a female, most likely, that has believed in their own confidence, and yet you kind of, ooh, my throat chakra is kind of like jacking up here. I don't think that this person likes that I can see their energy. Sucks. Listen. The Queen of Coins. I was going to say swords. Interesting. We're going to talk about that in a hot second. The Queen of Coins is someone whom is typically quite grounded, that can really work on themselves, that obtains a lot of resources, perhaps maybe even freely, is like given, and always takes, right? And sometimes that creates quite an ego. Now, because I almost said Queen of Swords, it could very well be that behind this lovely, grounded, I am so strong and capable demeanor, there is someone whom is quite cold, quite calculated. Now, the Queen of Swords is actually a queen that I personally resonate with most. And she can be very sharp with her words, okay? Because not everyone is always so positive and go lucky. Okay? Quite misunderstood. But the way that she uses the experiences of misunderstandings is what kind of shapes the relationships around her, right? Now, if I'm saying her and you're resonating more with this being a male individual in your life, then please take it as it resonates, okay? I'm really not going to get stuck on genders and shit. I just read the energies here, okay? Let me sip my coffee. So, I need I was going to say, is it a coaster? Anyways, I forget my words sometimes. The Queen of Coins, again, quite confident, at least on the outside. Now, because I was saying swords, you know, it's kind of like a slip of the intuitive tongue. You could have perhaps maybe learned what this person is behind that veil, right? That like the person that they project themselves to be isn't entirely their truth. And the changes that you have embarked on, and likely being witness to all of the positivity and the allowance thereof to have other people perhaps maybe follow in similar footsteps to you, has allowed for a different type of perspective to occur. This could be someone, I'm getting a nose itch on that. For those who are new to this channel, by the way, when my nose itches, and I know you can't see me behind here, but that increases my accuracy to at least one soul fan member. So shout out if it's you, okay? Let me know, please. You allowed somebody the opportunities. You've probably even given them the advice, the tools, the resources to perhaps maybe change their perspective. And there's something here, especially with your boundaries, that I'm feeling that this is someone that you quote unquote gave up on, you know? And that could be, in fact, what this person is really perceiving from you, tapping into their energy, that you deserted them, that you neglected them, that you just like dropped them, right? But let's face it, oftentimes people paint others as the villain when they're incapable of taking accountability for their own behaviors and even allowances, right? That's not to say that it's ever your fault when people mistreat you, but there is an aspect of you that had allowed this type of behavior to go on as long as it has. I'm speaking to those whom have learned how to set boundaries and whom have or are actively doing that. You know what I'm saying here. This is never ever any victim blaming or shaming here. It is about taking accountability of what it is that you're going to choose to consistently accept, okay? It's not about changing the past, but it is about taking control over your present and your future. And you have done that. And I feel as though this is someone that you have pulled your energy back from pile number one. And perhaps maybe this change of perspective with the Hanged Man, this could have caused a lot of stagnation, right? Like maybe like their world stood still when you pulled your energy back here, pile number one. Man or woman, don't matter to me, okay? They had completely been like flabbergasted at you leaving when they thought you never would. You know, those whom are actually always offended by the boundaries that you are choosing to lay down are actually those who have taken advantage of your kindness, of your consistent actions, and even like all of the exasperated energies. I'm feeling here, pile number one, that like there's only so many times that you can offer somebody advice or feedback or beg for help or just try to have them see something from your perspective until you completely get burnt out by having the same damn conversations, by going around in circles. Like there's only so much that you can tolerate from a person whom is unwilling, never unable, but unwilling to take responsibility and change their reality and change their situation. I think that for a lot of my pile number ones, I'm sensing that you were likely like a dumping ground. You were someone that this person called anytime. This could have been a best friend. This could have been a relative. I'm hearing like a cousin. This could have been an ex. This could have been anybody, really. Anyone that I believe at one point or another you were close with. Okay, you were close enough for you to really see through their facade, for you to really know who they are inside. And that doesn't mean that makes them good or bad, okay? I'm not the type of reader that's like, oh, it's a karmic and they're all like a POS. And like, no, like sometimes people are just people who don't know any better, you know, until karma comes around and consequences them. And whether or not they're going to learn the lesson that is likely going to repeat it in one form or fashion, they might have other people around them that are like talking to them, being like, hey, yo, like maybe you're the problem. Like, you know, like maybe you're a little bit too conceited or a little bit more too entitled, or someone whom is always playing the victim card without actually stepping out of it and being like, okay, well, how much more am I willing to freaking tolerate here, you know? If you know, you know. But this person, I believe, doesn't really quite understand that just yet. And so I'm sensing that they're really blaming you for a lot, right? The motor goes on again. I don't know what that is. It could be a car, it could be a motorcycle, it could be a really loud lawnmower. But it seems as though like you're rattling this person on the inside. I don't even know if you guys can catch all the noises outside, but I refuse to close my window right now. The Five of Wands is my identifier of an ego battle, okay? Very similar to the Five of Swords, and yet the Five of Wands is much more fiery. It's much more spiteful. It's like a soulful kind of like exertion of energy, of conflict. And it could very well be that when you had set your boundary or chose to walk away, block them, or whatever it may be, okay? It could even just be like you just took back your silence. What? You took back your presence, I want to say, and turned that into silence. It left them really freaking confused. I think that they really disliked you, Okay, let's just call a spade here. And that doesn't mean that you're a bad person for choosing to protect your peace. Pile number one. Let's just put that out there, okay? But your absence actually kind of took away a layer of protection that they may have. They perhaps maybe had depended on you so much, pile number one, to kind of like make things better and to offer them guidance and advice. Or it's like, I just hear someone calling you up being like, so I did a thing, and you're just sitting here going like, oh, like what thing? Like, are we still in high school? Like, I can understand that, you know, sometimes we do things that are a little bit out of character, that requires us taking like risks and things like that. But if it is only going to be to cause more chaos and to repeat another cycle, like that type of shit gets freaking exhausting. You know, it's like there's age, and then there's like emotional maturity, you know, and spiritual maturity, you know, and like mental maturity, you know, and by no means is this a judgment on any sort of ailments, okay, and like mental health and all of that. No. I'm talking about people who are constantly complaining and doing shit without ever actually trying the opposite. It's like sometimes people only crawl into more chaos because that's the only excitement that they have in life, you know? And it's unfortunate that sometimes, I mean, I genuinely hope that that changes just as the person that I am, but there are certain people that will only ever choose chaos because that's their familiar hell, you know? And an unfamiliar heaven and peace is boring to these types of people who just crave conflict, you know? And so with the Five of Wands here, like their karma is definitely a lot of trouble. Like you took away trouble. What does trouble mean? Because like Spirit had me say it again, trouble. I don't know if it's a place. I don't know. Let me know. That's maybe for like one person. Could be a last name I just heard. Anyways, Page of Wands. This person had the opportunity with you so many times, had been given the advice in order to create something new, to start something new, but they chose not to. As soon as they started to embark on like even an ounce of change and creating new narratives and all of that, they went right back into chaotic types of choices. And then they called you up like, haha, I did a thing. And it's just like, why? Like you were doing so good. Like, you know, like what happened all of a sudden that you chose to sabotage, that you chose to inflict some form of something onto another person or yourself, right? I am hearing forms of like gossip and stuff too. So like it could very well be that like you taking your energy back unexpectedly probably kind of changed the perspective that even people around them had of you here, pile number one, you know, because I'm seeing like a bunch of people over here, right? So it could be that a lot of people suddenly started turning to this particular person and being like, hey, yo, like pile number one, like maybe they're onto something here, you know, like, more conflict. Like your absence, your silence rang truth, right? And the thing is about the truth is it never feels the need to lie. It could be questioned day in and day out. There's nothing to hide. And that alone can be so easily misconstrued to people whom have only ever known lies, whom have maybe hidden behind, you know, their, what's that called? It's like is it like a black lie? I'm sorry, I maybe that's I don't know exactly like the term. But where it's like a white lie, that's what it is. Okay. Where it's like you're lying, but like just for the sake of like helping another person kind of feel a little bit better about themselves, right? It's like I don't know, someone being like, do I look fat in these jeans? And you're like, no, you look perfectly fine. You should totally wear them, instead of being like, hey, like would you maybe be more comfortable to one up a size? Like, I'm not at all shaming you by any means, but I believe that you can be a little bit more comfortable, because if you're going out of your way to ask me, how is it that you look? Perhaps maybe there's something in there that you're feeling uncomfortable about, right? Like, you can still deliver full truths without actually harming somebody along the way. And if they are harmed a little bit along the way, just know that sometimes, like, a true friend is willing to actually hit you with the truth than hide behind a white lie. You know, it's like, if I'm going to be your best friend, I'm going to be your best friend and say, hey, yo, maybe let's get on like a gym regime together, or again, one up a size, let's go shopping, Target, let's go. Like, you know, like, you can have something fun, but this person seems to have always taken offense to even those positivity intentions that you kind of offered, you know. And and well, again, your absence, your decision to set boundaries with this person and go on your own authentic path and create your own community and all of that, well, it left this person high and dry and in a lot more conflict than I think that they even bargained for. I think a lot of their own lies just kind of like bubbled up into the surface, and people started to see them for who they really are. And only you know who they really are. And now I think that it's just being reflected onto them because you were no longer willing to stand in the way of that. You know, sometimes being the person that, or at least accepting that you are the person that just can't help a person, whether or not they're willing to help themselves, it really has nothing to do with you. Like, you cannot control another person's actions, behaviors, or perceptions. You know, you can always control your own, though, you know. And so you called your energy back and it created conflict here. Now, what's interesting with the Magician and the Nine of Wands here is that all of their manifestations suddenly took a lot out of them. I felt like the upheaval, like what was once really easy to obtain for them, right? Like what came naturally, they just absorbed everything. Now it's a lot harder for them to like obtain their goals, their finances, their happiness, and all of that. I do think that with this Magician card here too, sorry, I laugh. They're probably blaming you in one form or another, like especially if pile number one, you are the spiritual type. Perhaps maybe you practice in the occult, or you know, you practice some form of divination in one form or another. Like your power, your presence is so like magnificent that it's actually intimidating. People tend to misconstrue that and they're like, well, pile number one is actually doing all of this shit to me. And like, I'm going to say that that speaks so much more about their own intentions and their own perceptions and how they would handle this type of power than it ever has to do with yours here, pile number one. I feel like I'm offering you, pile number one, my beautiful soul fam, so much like compassion and understanding, because for so long you've been painted to be like the bad guy when all you've ever been trying to do was like good, you know? Oof, do I relate to that? Gang. Ooh, soul fam. I'm gonna fucking sip to that. But they might honestly think that you are somehow energetically or literally starting rumors about them, doing spell work and shit if you align to that kind of stuff. I don't even know where to start with that, you know? Like, I personally, I'm a natural psychic medium, you know? Like, my abilities to read others and to perceive energy is from my own upbringing, and whether that is through trauma or through joy, like, I speak through my own experiences. It has nothing to do with me sitting here and like, you know, crying out kumbaya and all these other types of like sayings and stuff in order for me to like manifest my next dollar. Like, no, I put myself out there in a different way, right? I allow my human experiences and my actions to tailor the types of resources and the abundance that I receive. And it just kind of goes up from there. But people are unable to perceive how someone can actually be so pure and so genuine and so authentic when they themselves are unable to see or be willing to see the truth within themselves. This is lack of avoidance that is being consistently projected back onto you, pile number one. And I must say, let that shit continuously bounce off of you, okay? Stay focused on those whom are actually seeing the goodness in you, that you are impacting in such a way that like are taking all of this really beautiful advice and sense of community and desires and like all of your actions that you have trailblazed into great consideration, and they're using that to build up their own abundance, not because of you necessarily, but because you impacted them enough for them to take the lead on their own lives. There's such a great focus here on whom is unwilling that I think you just need to set even better boundaries with yourself, you know, because it ain't about you. Like they're making it about you, but like you're making it about yourself and like the collective, right? Like your impact helps the collective, whereas they just want the collective to help them. Does that make sense? I hope so. But either way, like their karma is just like more uphill battles. Like they're just going to consistently feel as though it's one thing after another. Anything that they put out there just feels like a freaking burden. Like they are just, it's just an upheaval. Not to say that they'll never obtain what it is that they want, but they're definitely not obtaining what it is that they want as efficiently, as easily, as quickly as they once had when you were in their lives. I heard my snaps. Mic drop. By the way, for those who are new, when I hear my snaps, that means I'm done the reading. The messages have been delivered. Shoot, I, for one, think that this was a beautiful reading, okay? Can't always say the same for others. I mean, can I dive into more specificities and stuff? Sure, but like Spirit just literally said no. Like, I don't even think this person is in your radar anymore, okay? This could be someone from the past that you're just kind of curious about, or maybe you're feeling that energy from them, right? Like when someone's like constantly thinking about you or talking about you or like whatever, like you as a highly intuitive or empathic or just simply hypervigilant individual, even if that person's not in the room, you could be literally an ocean apart and you can just sense it. You can just feel it, you know? So that could have been some of the curiosity that brought you in today. Either way, I do hope that pile number one, whatever it is that you required from this reading has been delivered. Be sure to scroll down below, okay, if you're interested in booking with me. Something precise and concise just for you. I am here and ready and willing and available. KNMwitchery.com is where it is that you book. Otherwise, I do hope that you subscribe, join the tribe, join Soul Fam Saturdays if you feel so pulled and you are available within your schedule to join in. And yeah, definitely comment down your resonances. At the very least, that little genie emoji, okay? Just so I know. If you're open to it, that would be really great, and it will help me out because engagement allows these types of readings to get pushed out to more of the soul fam that need to see this. So share this along too. Why not, if you feel pulled? Either way, if I do not see you in another pile, I do hope, my beautiful soul fam, that I will see you in another video. Take care. All of the love. Peace. Hello, pile number 2, what it do, baby? Thank you for choosing to spend some time with me today. If you want more of a concrete rundown as to what it is to expect, because it is a little bit different than your regular karmic reading, I would hope, be sure to check out the introduction again, all right? Now before we dive in, just a quick note, I have all of my windows open because it's a nice fresh breeze and the birds are out, but so are my neighbors and some dogs and some like annoying sounds in the background and shit. So I didn't really want to wait, you know, so I just pressed play. Hopefully none of that bothers y'all or is distracting. Either way, I dub it with a little bit of like music and shit, so hopefully it's not gonna translate too much other than the bird sounds. We could keep those. But anyways, that's it. That's all I had to say. Let's dive on in. Remembering from the introduction, this is your energy, okay? So we're going to dive into what is likely the cause of some people's negativity or evil eye or jealousy, but also the goodness, okay? And this will make sense sooner than later. We have dream. Life can be a dream come true. Lovely. We have blush. Love is blooming. Okay. And we also have awakening. Energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. Well, first and foremost, there's definitely a lot of upper chakra points that are currently being, I just heard initiated, okay, but it can very well be you getting a lot of like dream downloads. I just heard Neptune, so that might be a predominant placement, or you're impacted by the current Neptunian transit whenever it is that you are tuning in. Currently, Neptune is in retrograde. Just putting that out there. But that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. We're going to move on. I just heard Neptunian. Okay, I don't know. There's something about Neptune that is precise for one of y'all at least. Moving right along, you could be getting a lot of dream states, again, answers, a lot of downloads. You can be feeling also like hot flashes and things like that. I just heard something about like your chi being out of whack. I don't know. Whatever that means, whoever that is for. Also heart palpitations and such like that. You might be like, oh my gosh, is something wrong with me? No, you're not dying. At the end of the day, I always do recommend checking out some medical assistance. Okay, get tested, get your blood work done and stuff like that. If all comes back normal, definitely seek some specialists wherever it is that you feel you need to. But it can also be what we call ascension symptoms, right? So when we eventually begin to open up to new types of perspectives in our lives, our bodies catch up to our soulful evolution, right? Because at the end of the day, we are souls having a human experience. So sometimes when you end up rising up after a big point of like healing and such, towards more of a reality that you know, the healing pertained to in one form or another, it can come with some physical ailments while you embody a new vibration and stuff like that. I just heard new earth, okay? So if any of these keywords resonate with y'all, cool. Now, with awakening and dream, it seems as though you're kind of having like a bit of a pinch me moment. You could have manifested or are currently aligning to, because we're all on different timelines here for those tuning in, a dream come true in a way. It's like so much of what it is, I just heard hard work pays off. You have put in so much healing efforts, so much realignments. I heard mental health. This could be on a physical level too. Y'all are embodying a lot of like new groundings, new surroundings. It could very well be also that your environment has changed, okay? Now, this could be a bit of like a past frequency for those whom this applies, where you're now being grounded in a new environment that perhaps maybe before you were unable to find your footing in or like your comfort in, especially if you're, let's say, like moving to a completely different area or a completely different country where you're learning the language, you're learning the culture, different routines and such like that, right? Like I just heard culture shock. So there could just be you realigning to a big footing and such, right? And it's definitely blossoming as far as your connection to self and love and others. People are perceiving you differently. I just heard you've changed. So oftentimes when we do so much of that, like quote unquote internal work, our physical and external environments, including the people, but definitely even just environmentally, like all of that shifts and changes. Suddenly the places and, let's say, relationships and even workplaces, etc., that you were once aligned with, once really excited for and such, like suddenly you start getting a lot more like conflict in these areas, and you feel perhaps maybe you don't exactly belong anymore, and so you're being pushed out of particular placements. So Whether this is a past, present, or future thing, that scenario is being brought up to you in this reading, and definitely recognizing that currently, as you are tuning in, you are integrating a new way of being. There could be something with this particular moon placement. Okay, I think this is the crescent moon, if I'm not mistaken. So take that as it resonates. I just heard you might have been born under a crescent moon. That's beautiful. I was personally born under a full moon, so that's pretty cool too. Yeah, I feel like y'all are just like spreading your wings. You're tired of feeling as though like you're drowning in past circumstances, and Spirit is saying wish granted. Now, what does this have to do with karma, baby? Karma is a repeated lesson, okay? That comes around in different forms, different places, different beings, okay? Different personalities and shit. In order for us to finally learn the lesson that is required of us with consistent changed behavior. That's never to say that the difficulties and traumas and such that you embarked on were ever your fault. And I know it's like super cliche and nobody ever likes to hear it, that like things happen for a reason, you know? But I mean, in hindsight, you can find meaning and acceptance in what had happened to you and where it's brought you now, okay? So we can find the good in even the most difficult of situations. So you have learned some really difficult things that never really, I would say, this was very personal. Like I believe that your karma was very, it was just very personal. I think lots of seclusion, lots of people not really quite understanding, or perhaps maybe you were placed in positions that you had to learn it yourself, you know, maybe in your past life. I just heard South Node, take it as it resonates. You were always surrounded by a community of people, and in this lifetime, you had to go through some things completely alone in order for you to gain the courage and the self-acknowledgement in your own abilities to overcome what so many give up on, right? Like you pursued is what I'm hearing. And sometimes, on a more negative sense, people kind of look at you sideways, you know, or I just heard misunderstood. Like you're not quite someone that people can really understand. And it could be you just shying away as well. I did hear pile one, so there may be some things that you resonate with pile one. Doesn't necessarily have to be the case with everyone, so only go if that resonates. But let's move this up. And before we dive into the karma that others need to pay as far as consequences go, I definitely want to dive into the good that comes from this beautiful experience that you have been encountering, and what others are karmically able to obtain as far as like rewards being in your type of energy, okay? Because you do impact people whether you intend to or not. And the first card out is Mask. And this is what is absolutely beautiful, because it seems as though perhaps maybe for a really long time here, Pile 2, you had been wearing a mask, right? You always had to pretend like you're okay. And taking that off right now and bravely, I just heard like 30s. So like, I don't know, maybe this is like a personal experience, but I did see a thread about it somewhere along the lines too, where it's like your 30s are finally the age where you just take off the mask, right? Like you're done pretending. You could have been autistic. I'm seeing a lot of like the blue over here. And now you're no longer shaming yourself. You're no longer trying to fit yourself into a box and like quote unquote like be normal, because you're accepting the fact that you are extraordinary and you're rising above societal expectations and such too. So I think this is absolutely beautiful. There's something about like this shirt. This is the first time that I've seen this card that I was actually brought my attention to it. So you could have like a lot of like florals around. You could have a lot of like Hawaiian shirts. You could be one of those that like wear that, or these types of patterns and things like that, where yeah, you're essentially choosing to truly be yourself. So this is where there is some, spoiler alert, relation to pile one, where it's about really embracing your authenticity and such. So let's actually see what else there is. Okay, so we do have emptiness, and I am hearing in reverse, so I am going to honor that. Okay. Karma, other's face. I heard both of these. Okay, so we have two cards for you. We have reciprocity and teachers. Okay. And big nose itches on that for those who are new, and I know you can't really see me, but my nose itches when my accuracy goes up, so I know this resonates with at least one of y'all, soul fam. Perhaps maybe comment a leaf down below, whichever one, don't matter if it's green or if it's fallsy, okay? Yeah, let me know if you resonate with that. We have another crescent moon out here too. Fascinating. Okay, so the good karma that people reap through you and your impact on them is their ability to be truly understood, okay? It seems as though through your awakening, through your ability to trust in your own instincts, in your own bravery and such, right? Like all of that really beautiful foundational work that you have done on yourself behind the scenes, things that people never would know about, you likely in one form or another, whether it was intentionally or perhaps maybe I just heard like a stranger, like you opened up to a stranger that you just felt like needed help. Like y'all have like extreme empathy as far as what I'm feeling here, and you allow others the safe spaces to actually feel whole. Like the fact that emptiness was brought out but then told for me to place it down in reverse is telling me that you remove that empty feeling and allow people, even, I just heard like the permission, you give people the grace, like your presence in people's lives allow them to feel more whole. Like you're kind of like a missing puzzle piece that people never really knew could exist, right? I just heard like you complete me, you understand me, right? Like those of y'all pile number 2 that have undergone a lot of things in the background that perhaps maybe no one has ever known before, and finally feel brave enough to perhaps maybe share a little bit more of that, whether it is on a grander or little scale, will differ for all of y'all, but it does make a difference. It makes people feel seen. It makes people feel as though they're not alone. So definitely never doubt your presence, okay? You may have maybe had some, let's just call them ideations, okay? For what it's worth, I'm so happy that you chose to remain here, okay? Because your presence makes a difference. You're able to reach people at a level that they never knew was possible. And the loneliness that you have felt, you are a teacher in allowing people to find this really beautiful unity within themselves. You are incredibly intuitive, by the way, because I'm getting pulled to these antlers here, right? And antlers, the higher they are to God and heavens, right? Like the more connected you are, right? And so it seems that there is so much that you're able to also like take from above, right? All of the teachings of your beautiful awakenings and enlightenment, and you're able to bring it down and share that with the world. And a lot of that came with some really hard work in order for you to remove the masks that you have been so diligently, like almost like trained to keep, right? It's like you always had to place your feelings aside because, well, they always disappointed others or something, right? And I just want to cancel all of that shit. Like, you are beautiful, perfect, as whole, and as impactful as you are now discovering that you truly are. And that's allowing others the opportunity to be given that same type of grace that perhaps maybe you never have. But you're able to be that person for others. And I think that is freaking stunning. Okay, that is beautiful. We're going to move this aside. I heard keep teacher out, so I like that. Perhaps maybe you have a profession as a teacher, or you're taking on more of like a teaching role, for example. I'm told to pull from the Heartscape Tarot. So we're going to see now, as far as any quote-unquote negative karma for those who perhaps maybe, I just heard neglected you. We're going to see what it is that they are to pay. What I like about this deck too is it actually offers a lot of like nature-esque type of imagery and such. So yeah. The Knight of Cups. My throat chakra just got all banged up there. I heard two more. Okay. This one, yes. Three of Swords. Notice what's coming in reverse and what? Oh, I lost it. That's okay. This one it was. All right. Page of Cups. I heard in reverse. Fascinating. Yes? Okay. Alrighty then. Alright, so who could this have been? With the Hierophant in reverse, this is definitely the perception that you are now waking up to, okay? The person that was to teach you more, that you were to rely on most in your life. Unfortunately, you're seeing the truth behind what it is that they had tried to instill upon you. It was like wrongfully so. They weren't the grand teacher or companion or advisor that they claimed themselves to be. No, instead, you're seeing truth in the matter now. And I think that that part of the awakening was you kind of waking up from the dream and realizing that sometimes people aren't at all who it is that you wished that they could be. And maybe they never were. You know, I have people in my life who, it took me actually a long time for me to register that they're not good people because I was so hopeful and I always chose to see the good in people, you know. But then reality kind of hit, and that was a really painful, rude awakening, even though maybe to others they were like, duh, like how could you have never seen this before? And well, that's just the kind of price that you pay and the karmic lessons that we are to learn as those whom are highly empathic, and that is to take off those rose-colored glasses and stop giving umpteen chances to people whom are only going to take advantage. And it kind of makes you wonder, pile number two, like, how is it that people could actually be so hurtful and so mean and so manipulative and abusive and all of that? And well, that's the person that we're channeling through today. This could have been a relationship, but it really doesn't. I am hearing relative, okay? I am also hearing like a teacher, a pastor or something, right? Like someone that you had placed up on some level of a hierarchy, okay, that has crumbled, okay? That's the person that we're channeling through today. With the Knight of Cups and the Page of Cups, well, this is actually what they're going through now. So let's dive into this. The Knight of Cups, this is somebody that you thought was actually capable of giving you more love than they had truly had access to, I'm hearing, you know. Oftentimes, my beautiful empaths here, pile number two, you are psychic, okay? I'm not going to take that away from you. The intuition is what it is. And psychologically speaking, it's also hypervigilance, right? Like you had no choice but to become so aware of how others are emotionally feeling, because that sets the tone for the rest of the day or the event and stuff like that, right? Like you almost had to like tiptoe and bring down your light, because if they were having a bad day, they would lash out on you, right? Like the Knight of Cups in the upright position would give you more love, would give you more understanding and intuition and compassion, friendship, you know? But it being in reverse, it seemed like it was always conditional for you. This is quite a sad energy that I'm diving into. Not about this person, but the way that you are perceiving them to be. So I definitely understand a lot of the loneliness that you had to embark on, right? Like, or feeling alone, feeling as though no one really quite understands you, because again, it took away your notion to perceive people as good. Okay, I just heard pile one again. So hey, maybe to those that are aligning to this message so far, if you want to continue on a little bit of a different note, but on a similar wavelength, definitely tune into pile number one as well, okay? Now, what is the karma that this person is receiving through hurting you? Well, number one, the Three of Swords here, they're unable to actually take out their angst and their hurt out on anybody the way that they were able to on you. I'm sensing, I should put a trigger warning on this entire reading. I'm sensing that this person really took advantage of your kindness and you were always there. Perhaps maybe you're a parentified child, right? Meaning that you had to be the one to take care of a parent. So fam, I empathize with that. I understand. Being the one to take care of others when they're the ones that are meant to actually take care of you does a fucking whirlwind of something or other onto us. And now this person has more of an opportunity to actually face their pain, face their wrongdoings. Whether or not they are is the karmic lesson here, right? This is where karma comes into play. Like, did you learn your freaking lesson? And are you willing to transmute your behaviors into something that actually considers anybody else outside of yourself, right? Like, these are the kind of things that karma is judging about this particular person. And it's coming through a lot of, physical ailments. So it could also very well be that due to your empathic nature, you could also be embodying some of the pain that you're feeling from this person, even in separation, okay? For what it's worth, I do definitely hope that you have gone no contact with this particular individual, or have at least taken a grand step back, okay, and are honoring yourself. But as far as any like heart palpitations or something goes, like maybe this person's pain or something, like you felt that, like you embodied some of that, right? And like the separation that I am definitely sensing for like 80% of y'all, okay, that hurts. Like it, the guilt and the shame of separating yourself is a difficult pill to swallow, even though it's like the best thing for you. You know, it's like it takes a while to undo the damage that was done. And I want to tell you, pal number two, my beautiful pal number two, that you are so freaking beautiful. Like, your soul and your capability to love even those who harm is so admirable. Where, you know, like the villain and the hero often have like similar backstories, but it's what it is that they do with the pain that really separates them, you know? You are the hero of this particular story. Thank you for resonating with that, because I felt that. You want to be a good person. You never want to be like this person. Please stop shaming yourself for these realizations. Okay, because the love that you are capable to give, the type of teacher that you're able to give, the type of impact that you hold on people, I really need to make this clear here, okay, is already making a positive difference in people's lives. So your work on yourself is and has been paying off. Whether you have more of the tangible proof, you have to open up to yourself, okay? But this person's ability to actually get that type of love from others, right? Like this Page of Cups energy here being in reverse. They're incapable of, I think you were honestly maybe the last person in this individual's life that held enough understanding, empathy, and openness, and like trials and tribulations, and like you gave everything to this particular person, whomever they may be for you. Platonic, familial, could be romantic. You gave everything. And when you took that back, ain't nobody in their lives ever surmounted to your love. Their greatest karma was losing you, pile number 2. Ooh, I could feel one of y'all crying. I'm sorry. I do hope that those are more healing tears that I'm inducing. You could be trying to distract yourself. Be wary about putting that mask on, right? Immediately, like I have this like urge inside me to just close my window because my neighbors are out and I think they're kind of having a party. It sounds like there's more than the typical amount of people that are there, and they're not going to stop, you know, like I mean, hey, it's a Saturday night. They can do whatever they want, but like, oh, do I just want to like close off from all of that? Remain open, please. Okay. Again, I'm going to invite you to go check out pile number 1, okay, pile 2. It is a lot lighter over there in comparison, but I definitely do want to bring to light the shadows that you have undergone in this type of relationship, okay? And I do want to say, in your case, okay, if we're going to show the mirror, you know how like when you look in a mirror, it's like it reflects things to you, but like oppositely, you know what I'm saying? So in your case, your energy here, pile number 2, is looking like this. The 3 of Swords is in reverse. So this is much more healing, much more acceptance coming your way. That teacher with the Hierophant in the upright position, that's you, baby. That is you. Number 5, okay, a really beautiful signifier of change, okay? You are literally changing the narratives. You're looking at these obstacles that you have already overcome, okay? That's not the journey to, but rather fro. Okay? You're capable of giving people love and understanding and deep connection like never freaking before. Okay? Like these people that you encounter, you are a blessing to them because of what it is that you have overcome and undergone. Okay? And even though you're feeling brand new to this and it feels like your empathy, your intuition, your sensitivity is quote unquote too much, okay? Maybe it is, but that doesn't make it wrong. Matter of fact, that makes you more human than the average freaking person, okay? Because the human experience requires us to feel. We have a nervous system, we have emotions, we have a physical body that feels different types of sensations. Grounding ourselves and not constantly running away into our minds and dissociating perhaps entirely, you know, like trying to like be like freaking robots and completely avoid ourselves is the opposite of what your journey is about, okay? And you have accepted it wholeheartedly. You are no longer drowning in other people's freaking misery, but you're learning how to swim. You're learning how to breathe. I'm hearing a fish out of water. Like, you're learning how to exist and bring about a balance and a wholeness that this person, and I'm seeing it's like one person, it could be multiple for a few of you, okay? But there's definitely one that made the most difference on you, okay? Or at least that is just something that Spirit is bringing up to the forefront. You are no longer accepting of the type of hurt and damage and anything related anymore. You are not this person. You've learned now how to be a better man, a better woman. And you're definitely invited to continue to take that mask off despite what is going on around you. You know, people don't necessarily always understand depth that you have swam in, but we don't have to feel alone either, because you're able to now meet the depths of others that they have never had the opportunity to feel a connection with. And pile number 2, I definitely do empathize, not just sympathize, I empathize with you, because it's like sometimes you just wish someone could understand, but you are the hero. You're not the one that is meant to be saved, but the one whom is offering others the opportunity to be saved. You are the fucking hero, bro. Please understand that. You have this wonderful ability to make people feel whole where they have never known. And it isn't through doing so, okay, and showing up more and accepting the authority that you are able to make a really big difference in the world. And it is through that you're going to be able to kind of fill up all of those holes within yourself too. You know, it's like all of those feelings of emptiness begin to subside the more that you're able to actually help another. And it may take a lot longer than the average person to build that up, and that's okay too, you know? Keep on going. I know that this karmic reading has a lot more to do with you specifically, Pile 2, than it does your person here, whoever it is that is channeled through, but I just really want y'all to know that, like, I see you. Okay, these messages are no coincidence. They have found you for a reason. I understand you for what it's worth. If you'd ever want to work with me, you can. You have the invitation, KNMwitchery.com. Okay, that's where you book with me directly, or just subscribe, join the tribe. Know that there's someone out there, even on YouTube, that is able to understand what you have gone through. And you can pay that simple little blessing forward. And you do. This person's karma was losing you, was losing the type of person that is capable of love that surpasses the norm. The magnificence of your sensitivity is never too much or even too little to the right community. You are just right as you are. Yes, scars and wounds and depressions and anxieties included, okay? I've learned to become very open about my struggles, to say the least. Not in full detail, but enough to welcome in an understanding within others that they too can find hope and healing. And it takes a really brave, strong individual to stand in their vulnerability as you are capable of doing, pal 2. So please never guilt yourself or shame yourself on walking away from people whom do not deserve this level of kindness, because you deserve requited love. You deserve requited kindness. You, pal 2, are capable of unconditional love on earth. And unconditional love is never a love without boundaries. As you have already learned, it's not about accepting all of this abuse because I love you. It's rather about deconditioning false narratives and allowing the acceptance of things like boundaries, despite them hurting you too, in order for you to be able to contain your love even more and maintain it, to never turn into that villain. And you won't, pal 2. Okay, so just please know that you're making a difference, and that it's okay, and you're needed here. And for what it's worth, I love you. I do. I see a lot of myself in you, pal 2. I read my snaps. For those who are new here, that signifies that the reading has been concluded. I sure hope that I will see you perhaps maybe on a Soul Fam Saturday, or at knmwitchery.com if you feel open to book with me, or if not, in another pile. And I hope to see you in another reading. Much love and warm hugs to you, pile 2. Peace. Hello, what's up, what it do, pile number 3. Thank you for choosing to spend some time with me today. We are going to have a full-on in-depth karma reading. If you want insight on what exactly to expect in today's pick a card, be sure to go back to the about this reading portion right at the beginning so you can have a better idea, because it's likely going to be a lot different than perhaps maybe what you're used to. Before you hear are 3 cards that were pre-selected. I haven't taken a look into them just yet, but these are going to be about your energy, pile 3, okay? And likely the cause for some people's like jealousy or whatnot, right? So we're going to take a look at your karmic standing. Well, for one, we have bats. You're driving yourself crazy. Fascinating, especially because these are ravens. Interesting, all right? We have choice. Your decision will be correct. Fascinating. And we have more of those ravens or crows. Kind of hard to tell from this distance here. Excuse me. And last we have the ever unfolding rose, cracked open. It's happening for you, not to you. All right, so pile 3, you have this magical, uncanny, confusing way of turning negatives into positives, of overcoming what so many people avoid or feel as though it's impossible, right? I'm going to say that y'all definitely do a lot of quote unquote shadow work, meaning that you face your trauma and difficult life experiences head on, okay? You do not cower. And for that, when this ever folding rose card came out, I heard layers, you know, like, but unlike an onion, you are a rose. So it's kind of like you take tradition and you completely make it your own, right? Like it says bats here, but these are not bats, right? But other people may perceive it as bats because their eyes are closed, and yet yours, I want to say, are like wide open. Now with this veil here too, highly intuitive, highly spiritual. You probably know things, can predict things. I just heard hypervigilance. Okay, so It could be based on your ability and will to face the quote unquote darkness, however it is that resonates with you. I just heard hermit, so yeah, I don't know. You might resonate with being a hermit. I heard crab, so you could be a Cancer. Anything else here? Not yet. Okay. You make the impossible possible. You change perspectives. You open up to different types of standards. You are not what people expect. You're very misunderstood, I want to say too. And it could very well be that, I just heard black sheep. So it could very well be that you choose to live your life different from what society is expecting. And I just heard new. So this might be something relatively new that you are deciding to break out of the mold, or what it is that you are doing is completely new to your bloodline, to your friend groups. I just heard out of the box. I will say you guys could be hella clairaudient and also claircognizant, okay? It's really important for you to also protect your crown chakra, okay, for anyone that resonated with. So wear a hat, cover your head or something. I do have like this light, weird headache coming through, channeling into your energy. So there's a lot in your headspace, and it feels as though like sometimes you guys could just like explode, for lack of better words. And how people kind of get jealous about this is because they misunderstand you. People seem to be unable to predict what your next move is, and that right there poses some challenges for some people because they're unable to control you. They're unable to fit you into a box, right? And I think that Pile 3, because of your deep sense of being misunderstood, people tend to get quite agitated at the simple fact that they're unable to, let me change that verbiage there. You are unwilling to abide by people's expectations of you, right? I just heard, don't tell me what to do. A sentence I have said a gazillion times in my life. I think that what you want is not what you have been, for lack of better words, trained. The way that you've been nurtured to view life is different. Maybe people told you never to open up your eyes to the truth and kind of like lied to you, saying that what's fluttering around is more evil, it's dark, it's vampiric, it's demons, right? But if you open up your eyes, you'd realize that these are majestic birds. They're birds. These are birds, right? And you might have been fooled to believe that you're crazy for what it is that you want. For those of y'all who resonate with terms such as counterparts and twin flames, this could be an example of that, right? Like you're changing the narratives on spirituality versus, let's say, religion. You're breaking out of molds. I don't know, there's something about that. But people around you, at least in your forefront right now, you're being aware of how people really dislike this aspect of you. Now, before we dive into what those particular people have to say and the karma that they're facing for quote unquote going against you, let's dive into the positive karma that people face when they respect you, when they side with you. I just heard community, right? Like those people who kind of understand a little bit more. And I just heard not many. So it can feel as though, Pile 3, your level of being misunderstood really runs deep. And right now, you could be breaking out of old friend groups and such. I think that you might be searching for the right type of community, people who really quite understand you, and you're not maybe having the best of luck just yet. My head's really hurting. So let's see. future or present or past people who abide by you and your ability to break out of expectations and all. Liberation. I mean, sorry, I laugh, but like, isn't that exactly the name of the game for y'all? You want to be free. You want to break free. You want to live a spectacular, magnificent life that is beyond what you've been trained, beyond facades. Like, maybe you guys are like deep like conspiracy theorists, or you care very deeply about the state of the world and you're not kind of like blinded by how people have been nurtured to like see life and like it seems that you guys aren't really the type to want to do the 9 to 5 thing, right? And maybe you have, but like now, like there's something about you guys that's like breaking out of that, right? And I'm not sure if the channeled energy about other people who side with you are experiences that you are aware of just now. I think it might honestly be a bit of like a fortune telling for you. Yeah, I just heard, yeah, it's like, dare I say, pile 3, you kind of feel alone in this world. But that doesn't always have to be the case, you know? Like you are more than capable to build a community and go towards people whom will understand you. But I just think that for a long time, you've been so confined. But in the near future, I just heard amethyst. Okay. That might resonate with someone. But in the near future, those who you come across, you actually give them more of that permission to feel free. You kind of want to like run with the wolves here, you know? And you allow people to truly be themselves, you know? And I think that's just it about being, see, I'm not pulled to pull any more cards here for y'all, so shit. But I think that's just it, right? One card speaks it all. It's liberation, your ability to allow others to never feel confined or judged or misunderstood by you. Like even those whom perhaps maybe you don't exactly equate with, right? Like you're like, I don't really agree with you, but I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to criticize you for it. I'm not going to hate on you, right? And what I was going to say before I got interrupted by spirit is it kind of happens often with us black sheep. We are like the trailblazers. We're the ones who bravely speak on the truth, even though it hurts people, right? Like the thing is, this like this funny thing about black sheep here, is we're choosing to actually see a different side of the truth than we've ever been nurtured and conditioned to see. And that challenges people. It has people being held accountable in ways that they never have before. And so it's easy for people like ourselves. I do resonate with this whole black sheep thing. I'm so black I'm blue. Like I am a blue sheep, matches my blue hair, you know. I'm like the black sheep of the black sheep sometimes, it feels. And I get you guys like relate to something like that too, you know, where it's like, am I even a black sheep? Because even that, like you're even more niche than that. And it triggers people to be held as accountable and held to a truth deeper than they even had ever allowed themselves to go, right? Like I mentioned the hermit before, you have this uncanny ability to be so brave, even through your own perceived weakness, to find a sense of freedom, and people misjudge you for it. They call you crazy, they call you weird, they call you all of these different things, and maybe even tell you things like you would never really surmount to a sense of greatness, because how could you ever, you know? But there's, I'm gonna start pulling in the other energies here, because like I said, those whom benefit from your karma positively have a sense of liberation that you yourself, Pal 3, do not currently have visibility into, okay? So this could be a new step forward. It could be a journey that you have ventured through completely by yourself for like the longest time. And so you're unaware of the permission that you allow others to unfold within themselves, this magnitude, this greatness, this sense of freedom and liberation, like this out of the box, like you can't fit me into this vase, like I am a crazy cool type of a, like, what is this even? You know? Is it a bird? Is it a dancing queen? Is it, what is it? People look at you like you're just like some mystical creature, and perhaps you are. Perhaps you are. I am getting pulled to the Night Sun Tarot for y'all. This is my Scorpio deck, if you will. This right here is kind of giving me this energy here, this Four of Cups. I'm not pulling this card, but it was at the bottom there, and I found a really cool equation to that. Okay, so we're doing this slightly different. Okay, we're doing something completely different for you, Pal 3, which is okay. I mean, it seems right on par to your energy here. Why have you be the same as any other pile before you? Instead of focusing on the karma, the negative karma that people receive from you, which I'm pretty sure you are already well aware of, like, you know exactly the path that is laid out for people that choose to conform, that choose to stay stuck in whatever field or path to life that they have chosen for themselves. You've already witnessed it. And so, yeah, for you, Pal 3, there's no use of me even diving into that, because you already know. You've already seen it. You're hypervigilant enough. You've recognized enough patterns. I mean, that's why you are the way that you are. And so this is going to instead base upon the energies of those whom are coming into your really cool, unique way of existing. And so we have the Sun, the Fool, as well as the Seven of Pentacles, okay? There is this like new sense of alignment that you are able to offer people. Just speaking on my own personal experiences, right? As someone whom has definitely gone through what you are going through here, I went out and I created my own community. You know, KNM Witchery and the Soul Fam here, I align with people who are ready to break out of the tradition and break out of that conditioned way of being, right? I help people believe in the quote-unquote impossible. And I've seen some of my clients do some really miraculous things with their choices and with their lifestyles that they've always been told can never happen for them. You know, and this is something that you are able to offer other people as well here, Pal 3. You are able to realign others towards their magnificence, towards this light within their darkness, that like you armor people with the right types of encouragement and hell, even kind of like rude awakenings, if you will, okay? Like you snap people into a completely different type of reality based on your own experiences, based on your ability, which I think you're still waking up to be honest, with so much respect. Like, I think that y'all are already awake. Like, I'm not saying that you're sleeping here, okay? So, like, don't get mad. What I am saying is that you're waking up to what it is that you're able to do with this type of power, with this type of responsibility, with this type of impact that you hold. The impact alone is something that I think that you're waking up to, you know, and you are coming across, if not already, people whom have sought you out. And it is freaking mind-blowing. Because you're able to blast people with the opportunity to begin anew, to create their own molds, their own realignment, to break out of the quote-unquote matrix. Like, you guys, my pile threes, like, you're trailblazers, you're fire starters, you are the warriors. You will hands down defend people who need that defense, but like, you're not for the weak. No, you're for those whom have been required to be strong. And you help pave the way for them too. And I think that you've been deemed the quote-unquote fool for so long. But the Fool is this like initiator, you know, it is both the beginning and the end. It is the decision to leap forward. And you're so comfortable within that darkness that I think you need to understand one thing about yourself here, Pile 3, okay? You are the light. So as much as you've been in all of these dark rooms, these dark forests, these dark perceptions in life, right? Like all of these dark experiences, you're trying to find a light whilst now realizing that you already are the light that you have been seeking. And I think that's why for a really long time, Pile 3, you felt attacked. You were so misunderstood. People wanted to silence you because your level of thinking had long surpassed those who you thought for a long time were your authority, that you thought were the ones that you're supposed to depend on. And that's a rude awakening when you notice that you have energetically, mentally, emotionally, etc. surpassed the people that you had once looked up to. And you're waking up to realize that those people aren't a safe space for you, that they've kept you small. But you're the freaking sun. Like, you blast people with your aura, and it was dimmed for a reason. Because it was too bright for them to handle. You shine a truth onto people. So it's interesting that with your reading, unlike the other two before you, where I was able to dive into the more positive karma that people face in your presence, as well as the more negative karma that people base or experience within your presence, you kind of have like a you get what you get kind of an energy where no matter the good or the bad, like that doesn't actually exist for you. Positive and negative doesn't really exist for you. It's all one. It's all part of this way of being for you that like you've surpassed this dualistic way of thinking. You found this like miraculous balance between masculine and feminine energies within yourself, because we are made up of both. Anyone who says, oh, masculine, feminine energies don't exist, please just simply look up traditional Chinese medicine. Or different Indian philosophies, I mean, that go back to the ancient times, right? Like yin yang lives within us. That's all energy, baby. And you found this way of embodying truth in such a way that positive and negative is all the same to you. It's all what you do with it. And people are unable to grasp that concept because they're so conditioned into thinking that, well, there's black and then there's white and there's right and then there's wrong. But you're just like, how? How could that possibly be it? Like, an example that's coming through is someone stealing bread. But what if they're stealing bread to feed? It's like that scene from Aladdin. It's literally that scene from Aladdin where someone's stealing bread, but like he gives it to like these two kids that are hungry and starving. Like, is that still bad? Is that still wrong to give to those whom are suffering and unable to? Like, people will argue that, well, stealing is stealing, but it's just like, well, what's the cause? I just heard I can't speak words. Vigilante. Like, if you are the one that even through violence condone peace, what makes something right versus wrong? Y'all are spectacular types of people here, pal 3. Can you please drop a bat emoji down below, or a crow / raven? I don't know. I think crows and raven emojis exist, right? Whichever one you feel like. But I think that the karma that you offer people, ultimately, whether it is positive or negative, depends on their ability to accept or reject the light and the truth and the fresh starts and beginnings that you are able to offer them. People who come across your energy, people are highly triggered by you, pile 3, because you trigger a realignment with them, even unknowingly. Wake up and open up to your freaking magnitude, pile 3. Don't sleep on yourself. I know it's easier said than done sometimes, but like, if you allow yourself to recognize the power that you hold within, you'll no longer fear it, despite other people maybe misunderstanding you and fearing your power. I think that you always mean well. I think that you have undergone more than the average person can even comprehend in their own lives here, pile 3. Things that have been left unspoken, experiences that people would maybe never even know you have walked a path that only has your footprints in it. That scares people. It scares people when they're unable to have a hold and control over such a free thinker like yourself. Over someone that, despite all evil, all trouble, all pain and hardening, that you still remain soft. That you still choose to unfold. And you're now taking control over your life. That's that liberation. Whether or not this feels more like a personal reading or like a karmic reading of what other people face, I think it is all one the same. I am you, you are me, we are we. Not a lot of people will understand that. Like, that sounds kind of silly and ridiculous to so many people. That's fine. I see you, pal 3. I do. You recalibrate people through your light and your darkness simultaneously. But I still stand by the fact that I'm not sure if many of y'all tuning in, if you're even still here, because I bet a lot of people clicked off pile 3. They're like, what is this? Which the minute few of you who are still here, half hour into your reading, yo, understand the power that you hold. It's all been worth it. And I won't lie to you, it seems that your soul has chosen a more difficult path to embark on. And it's for the cause of helping to awaken other people too. I think you're able to see if someone is a quote-unquote good or bad person, but to you it's all the same. It's what you do with that energy, right? Right. It's the behavior. Like you're able to sit with the homeless and treat them like a lifelong friend. Matter of fact, you probably choose to stick around with the rejects, the misunderstood, I just heard the dirty. I don't know what that means specifically. Probably because you're like, shit, like people can have all of this money, all of this health, all of this opportunity, and then they squander it. And yet you're able to look at anybody and see the soul within them. You offer people opportunity. You offer people love and understanding in a way that is so rare in this world. That's why you went through everything that you went through. That's why you were picked on more than the average person. Not saying that you asked for it or it was deserving. No. But there was a reason for it. This was it. I'm going to shuffle in one or two more cards and see what happens here for you. Thanks for changing it up for me here, Pal 3. I'm not going to lie. This, I mean, you could probably tell by like the nail change. There's like 2 days, 3 days in between Pile 2 and you. Because empathy burnout is really real personally. So I have a Patreon. And on Patreon, I share like collective energies, right? Kind of how to be able to navigate through the week on a collective scale, energetically speaking, what types of conflicts and opportunities, etc., that could occur in the week, right? And when I was like tapping in, I couldn't really quite understand what is this like massive amount of pain and fear that I started to feel until the next morning when I woke up and I realized all of this war that had expanded into Lebanon. And it hurt my heart. I was like, oh my goodness. And I couldn't show up to my Patreon community. I still reached out to them and said, hey, so this is what's going on. But the reason why I'm picking this up is because, Pile 3, I think you have this ability to foretell and to feel the world's pain in such a way that transmutes it into balance. And you're a force to be freaking reckoned with, Pile 3. Like, you really are. Stop underestimating your ability to feel. I think a lot of people mislabeled you as like overly sensitive, and so you shut down for a long time, Pile 3. But I think you you see things differently. And it's required for you to unfold all of that pain and quote unquote sensitivity and make it good, make it powerful. Just because people had underestimated you doesn't mean that you have to mirror that underestimation of yourself. You are powerful, Pile 3. Hang on to those words and that affirmation for yourself, okay? Queen of Swords, yep. Oh, Pile 3, do I relate to you? Oh my goodness. One more. One more card. Yep. This is the 10. No, it's the 9 of Swords. So this is a choice card here, right? It kind of fell almost in reverse, but like sideways, okay? You have this opportunity to grow from all of this pain, okay? Sometimes flowers and weeds grow in remarkable places where you don't even expect them to. There's a lot of bloodshed here. right? And yet life still goes on. And where the choice comes into play is what it is that you're going to, well, choose to do with this type of opportunity. Are you going to grow, or are you going to die, I guess? Metaphorically, I hope, okay? I can sense that y'all, because you experience emotions and reality as deeply as you do on a complete physical level, you might suffer from things like depression. I understand. I have summertime depression. So, like, the sun blasts me. Everyone's like, the sun is so healthy for you. Yeah, no, the sun, like, I don't know what it is. I absorb too much of that light and energy, and I feel ill. Like, I'm very heat intolerant. So I love my cloudy days. I love the days that people hate, you know, because I'm like, ah. And I think y'all relate to that kind of statement here. With the Queen of Swords, I think you've had to keep your heart safe by locking it away, you know. I think for a long time, this was the best thing you could have done, is kind of turn yourself off, to dissociate, to set your heart aside. And the Queen of Swords is very misunderstood. For some reason, I'm getting pulled to a different deck's description of her, so I'm just going to do what my intuition is telling me to do, because I'm an intuitive reader after all. So, using the Fountain Tarot's description of our lovely Queen of Swords, the Queen of Swords has seen it all, knows it all, and unfortunately has suffered more than her share of sorrow. Fiercely devoted to those she loves, she will nurture ideas and conversations with crystal clarity, using reliable facts and candid, if not harsh, honesty. Careful to protect herself, she is not known for her warmth, but if it's answers you seek, she is the one to solve them. Don't waste her time or betray her. She will coolly cut you down with poise and a smile. And this is why I say I relate to your energy, and especially the Queen of Swords. Actually, it's a lot of the reason why I got the spade tattoo, because spades equate to swords in tarot. And the Queen of Swords, outside of the High Priestess and the Empress that I eventually had grown into, the Queen of Swords was one that I resonated with most. And this is why. Highly misunderstood energies, yo. And yet you're able to create some really wonderful things out of it. And I think what that thing is change, for good and bad. So let people tremble when they come across your energy, Pile 3. So be it. Others won't. Others will use it as inspiration. And they may not ever even come to you for it, because you, I can tell, Pile 3, are highly intimidating to those whom are, again, not used to complete honesty and integrity and accountability and authenticity to such a magnitude. I mean, your purity alone, with the Sun card here with the Fool, and like, I mean, come on. Your ability to go through the hardships of life and still come out a more than decent human being is a freaking miracle. I think that you are the karma that this world needed, Pile 3. And karma is a repeated lesson that comes around time and time again, different clothes, different experiences, different opportunities, different souls. You are the catalyst to allow people to change or stay the same. And I think that when people encounter you, Pile 3, they are never the same again, even if you don't know about it. And that's the thing. That's what I was saying kind of like in the beginning of your reading here. I'm not sure, Pile 3, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. I'm not sure that you're aware of your magnitude, because people don't even grasp what you have done for them until far later. So what I'm going to say is stay open to that sense of community, okay? Not everyone who reaches out for help is worthy of healing and helping. You know what I mean by that personally, Pile 3, and yet there are so many whom are. Me and my level of awareness and healing and guidance in my business, I only really accept people who, like, I know are ready to do the uncomfortable shifts. Call upon those people too. Because for what it's worth, I am honored to have been able to align with your energy, Pile 3. So there are people who understand you. There are. I'm living proof of that. So stay alive, shine bright, and blind them all, Pile 3. Be free, because you can. Thank you so much for tuning into this reading, Pile 3. Genuinely is an honor. I do hope that you make yourself known in the comments down below. Just drop a bat or a crow, whatever it is that you want. I hope you stick around and join the Soul Fam if you want something precise and concise. KNMwitchery.com is where it is that you book with me personally. Otherwise, yeah, just subscribe. Just join the tribe, okay? Readings coming at you almost every week. I'd love to meet more of y'all. So if I don't see y'all in another pile, I do hope to catch you in another reading. Peace. Hello, pile number 4. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with me today. We're going to dive into your full-on in-depth karma reading. My best recommendation, just in case you skipped right to your pile, is to go to the About This Reading section of this. Pick a card so you can have a full understanding of what it is that we're going to be diving into today, because it might be a little bit different than what you expect. The cards before you are your energy pile number 4. So let's dive on in. First, we have Rescue. Help another to help yourself. Beautiful. We also have Shine. Make yourself seen. Ooh la la. And lastly, we have Leap. You go first. The universe will catch you. You could have been born under a full moon or close to or after, as an Aries full moon baby. Represent. Okay, let's dive on into your energy and likely the cause of people's negativity or evil eyes, some jealousy on you. First and foremost, I can definitely see here that you transmute your experiences as guidance for others so that they never go through the extent of pain and discomfort that you have gone through. I think that similar to some other piles here, so you may resonate with other piles too. You are a leader, okay? I think you rub people the wrong way because you help those who really want help. I'll put that out there. And number 2, I can sense that there is a beautiful boundary about you as well as an empath, and yet your readiness and ability to offer advice that is incredibly helpful brings people into a happier and better state. And why that rubs people the wrong way is because you can very well be, pile number 4, a catalyst of change to others, where perhaps maybe people around them don't want them to change because they've benefited from who it is that they've been. to them, you know, like you can be encourage people, since I said boundaries, to set boundaries, for example, right? And those people that they are setting boundaries with don't like you for it, because they're like, who is Pal for to tell my person or whomever how to deal with me, you know? So I feel like the more negative effect is probably on like the outskirts of people, not those who are in direct contact with you. I can also see that, especially with this rescue card here, help another to help yourself, it's giving wounded healing. It's giving Chiron. So you could really be living in your Chiron. Excuse me, I have to really blow my nose. I will cut this part out, but bear with me, sorry. Lord. Whew. I woke up to some intense sniffles because I am unconsciously letting go of like a lot of stress and stuff. And yeah, which could honestly be the case for you as well. You could be a little bit under the weather, okay, which is good. Offer yourself some grace if, of course, that does resonate. But nevertheless, let's go into that wounded healer Chiron-esque type of a vibe here, right? There are certain things that you may likely never be able to fully heal from, right? And make peace with and acceptance with. And yet, your story and your ability to still stand strong is very inspirational and motivational to other people. Especially with this leap card here, you go first, like trailblazer here, right? Like your ability to let go, especially with that full moon being here, right? Your ability to let go and transmute and really change the narrative on what healing is really about, your willingness to go through the discomfort just to be able to show others that they can overcome too, is, again, really admirable. It's really inspirational. And I think your willingness to also step out of your own fears and allow yourself to be seen could have at one point or another been something that people suppressed. Or, I mean, a fear of being seen is a fear of being judged and misunderstood. But I think that, Pile 4, you have long surpassed people's expectations of you, and thus are more willing to say what it is that you need to say wholeheartedly. And it's really reeling in people that you can help. I would not be surprised at all, Pile 4, if you are some of the wonderful therapists in the soul fam, if you too are a psychic or a medium and you offer advice, perhaps maybe you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a mother, okay? Perhaps maybe it has nothing to do with profession and career, but rather you just being a really good person for your family and for your friend groups, right? And that makes a really big difference. I think that you are someone that a lot of people can truly depend on. And then I heard boundaries again. So I don't know why boundaries is a commonality that's coming up for you here, Pile 4. So either you need to learn to practice it a little bit more, or people are feeling, well, not so lightly about the boundaries that you have recently placed, right? It could be also a lesson here that you are to learn in and around. You cannot help everybody, okay? Nor is it your job to. And I just heard yes. So I believe that, Pile 4, you may very well currently be acknowledging the fact that you can only help people who are willing to also help themselves. And you're still capable of showing them the way, but don't feel discouraged if there are some people you have to turn away, or come to terms with the simple fact that, like, they may be dependent on you to be the end-all solution to them, but, like, unless they're willing to step up and do the uncomfortable work and like process through the healing. Like, I think that pile 4, you're definitely never the type to pretend as though things are really easy when you know that they're not, right? Like, overcoming and acknowledging and accepting difficulties in our life comes with a lot of emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical challenges. I also wouldn't be surprised if you are also one of my chronically ill friends who have suppressed so much of their trauma and their CPTSD, for example. I'm not labeling anyone, but like, you know, this stuff is definitely coming to surface. So pile 4s, you may definitely resonate with all of that, right? Like, you have been actively healing yourself on all fronts. And I do want to say that through doing that and choosing yourself and like leaping into the discomforts and allowing yourself to express your experiences and share your story is not only helping yourself, but also helping others. Like, honestly, all of these readings today have been so beautiful in this pick a card. I love it. So let's dive on in now on the positive karma that people face when they are in your energetic vicinity, okay? Because karma is a lesson that comes around time and time again until we decide to learn it with changed behavior. And there are some people that come across you karmically that are meant to be catalyzed by your energy and by your will and by your healing abilities, right? Not to, again, ever take responsibility for somebody else's healing, but at least to be a guide. So I heard yes to all 3 of these. So we have greatness, involution, as well as kindness. This is what you grant people. The opportunity to really be seen, for other people to recognize the power that is held within them to a point of perhaps maybe even strengthening their intuitive connections. I'm really seeing that with both the veils here on these women. Involution is that ability to really spark that fire within yourself, right? Like, it's to become the change first before the external environment has an opportunity to catch up. You allow people to step into their greatness humbly and majestically, right? With the peacock here, I mean, this is like the bird of all birds, if you will, right? And yet his feathers are down. There's no need to boast and be overly, perhaps maybe egotistical, and yet the ability within the people that come across you, like, you recognize that they are worth peacocking, if you will. They're worth showing off their power and their strength, and you offer them kindness. There's a difference between being nice and being kind. Being nice is acting out of, well, positive intentions for the sake of another accepting you, right? This is where we bring in people-pleasing natures. It was 11:11 on my timer here. Whereas being kind is you acting out those positive actions through knowing boundaries, right? Like, you may have been someone that people have overstepped their I mean, we're definitely going to dive into more of those who receive more of like the negative judgment and karma, right? But I can see that there's people that have definitely attempted to take advantage of your kindness and thus have kind of received a sword. You could be really cutthroat, right? You being kind is out of the goodness of your own nature, because I don't think that you guys actually even have an ounce of evil intention. But that doesn't mean that you're unable to stand your ground and really hold true to the person that you want to be respected as. I hope that's making sense here. And those who come across you, there's so much green here and a little bit of blue. So like that throat chakra the heart chakra, like you awaken people's higher senses and ability to know love, especially self-love. I think that's honestly it for y'all. Like you, Pile 4, you give people the opportunity to learn how to love themselves, to trust themselves, to be there for themselves, and that it's okay. It's okay to put yourself first and overflow your own cup onto everybody else, because to empty your cup consistently is the thing that actually keeps you dried out, exhausted, sick, and ill. You take on a different type of approach. I just heard somatic, so you might teach people how to actually embody their emotions, right? All of those unconscious aspects. I saw 1333 on my clock. So you guys definitely very spiritual. You align with a lot of different synchronicities that pop up. You probably are just surrounded by them. I definitely think you guys are my healers, my guides, my teachers. However it is that resonates with you. You could be a literal teacher for like children, for example, or this could be more of like a spiritual-esque kind of a teacher. I have to blow my nose again. I'm so sorry, guys. So this could be a little reminder here to take care of yourself just a little bit more, okay? 1414. Oh, these synchronicities. Love on yourself a little bit more. I think Pile 4, for some reason, there is a big message here about taking care of yourself just a little bit more and taking on some of like your own advice, the advice that you give onto others, embody a bit more onto yourself, okay? Especially if it means you have to tend to some symptoms that you might be currently having, whether they are ascension symptoms or physical symptoms, whatever kind of symptoms that's resonating with you, Pile 4, please give yourself some more of that TLC, okay? And it's through that you can actually still show up for others too, right? It's like you're putting to action your own ability to let go what doesn't currently align with you. I'm getting pulled to the Surrealist Tarot for you. So let's now dive into who is it around you that is perhaps receiving more quote unquote negative karma, right? Like they didn't really learn their lessons, especially with you. Perhaps maybe they misjudged you. I'm hearing evil eye. So we have the Ace of Wands, Ace of Swords. Okay, very interesting. This could be two different people, okay? Let me dive into more. What exactly is these? It's not one person. It's more than, yeah. What are their lessons, please? Two of Swords on the table. On the floor, I mean. In reverse, I'm hearing. Interesting. Knight of Pentacles in reverse. What is their karma, please? And we have Six of Pentacles in reverse. I did hear one more. Nine of Wands in the upright position. Hi, puppy. My dog is coming to say hello to you guys. Really beautiful metaphor and coincidence here of my dog coming into my room to say hi, and for pets and loves. You have a lot of friends around you, okay? You have people that are definitely willing to keep you safe, okay? And I think the matter of opening up to your soul fam would be really beneficial for you at this time, okay? Especially when it comes to these particular people. So for one, someone who perhaps maybe you opened up your heart to, okay? That maybe rejected you. Just because this is kind of giving me, it's not exactly a heart, but it is giving me the vibe of it being a heart, like a stone heart, you know? Someone whom you hoped would be able to let you in. Perhaps maybe this is that lesson here that you were taught yourself through your own karmic experiences, Pile 4, that you can't heal everybody. Not everybody wants to be helped, right? Like sometimes people's hearts are just, they're too hard. right? Like they just prefer to neglect themselves and thus others around them too. And no matter how much it is that you offered them this love, like you've overpoured your generosity and kindness, and I think you tried, and I don't want to say that you failed, but that verbiage came up, okay, because this person or people may have expressed that onto you, right? Where it's just like, you're not actually as good of a healer as you think you are because you weren't able to help me. But these are the types of people. There's two people specifically for you too that must have come up here. So it could be an ex-best friend, it could be an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, someone that you had dated with, an ex-husband, for example. It could also just be a complete like group of people, like clients and such, that you had to come to terms with that you're not the right person for them to help them, right? But that's also because they are not the right caliber of people that are too aligned to you, right? That's something that like myself in this type of quote unquote healer position, I've learned too that like I can be there for people through thick and thin, but unless they are willing to actually do more for themselves, there is not enough advice or feedback or kindness or guidance or generosity, resources. Like if people aren't actually willing to embody that for themselves, they're likely going to blame you for it, right? I definitely have a few past clients whom I've worked diligently with for so long, only to then be ghosted by them or literally been told that like I never actually helped them. But it's just like, wait, hold on. What specifically was I unable to help you with? Because I offered you all of the resources, and the last step was for you to connect the dots for yourself, to embody it, to practice it, right? But sometimes people taking accountability and really recognizing that they're the ones that have to put in the change to ultimately be the change, that doesn't sit right with people, you know? And so that might be kind of painful for you to come to terms with too, because like you've put yourself out there, you offered what you can, and then boom, like, you know, maybe it wasn't enough, but it was enough, darling. Okay. You just got to put your focus on people whom are more willing, because the type of stuff that you help people through have to come with embodiment and acceptance and durability and endurance and the will. Okay. Oftentimes people think that healing will only take maybe like 2 or 3 therapy sessions or, you know, some Reiki or something. And then all of a sudden, hallelujah, I'm never going to know pain again in my life. Like people approach spirituality, and even if not spirituality, let's talk about like medicine or psychology, right? Like to my point where it's like you think that only a couple of sessions is just going to like heal everything that you have ever gone through. Like that's so false. Like I wish it was that easy. If that were the case, then there would be no cancers in the world, you know, because a few, you know, fixes here and there, some blood transfusions or whatever the heck is required, and boom, done. Like problem is solved. Like that's unfortunately not the case. And Spirit's really coming through me to you today, Pal 4, to let you know that like just because people were unwilling to take that extra step for themselves doesn't mean that you are to embody their false words onto you in any form or fashion, right? And especially if you've been like ghosted, because I'm really sensing that, right? Like people maybe walked away, or you walked away from people and you ghosted them, and you feel guilty for that. Like don't, Pile 4, okay? I too have ghosted people, like best friends that I was like, I can't be that person for you, and I ghosted them because I already knew that it's going to come with like X amount of different phone calls and messages just to like manipulate me and be like, well, you're the only friend that I have, and why couldn't you do this and that? And it's like, it's gonna make me feel guilty for shit that like wasn't my responsibility to begin with, you know? So however it is that you are meant to detach, like you're still doing it from kindness, and sometimes moving away from people who do harm unto us is the best thing that we can do. It's actually acting out of so much more love than staying and tolerating and allowing false patterns to continue just because you love somebody. Do you know what I'm saying? I heard yes. Cool. So yeah, that's kind of who is undergoing some more negative karma, right? Those whom have been unwilling to take on that karmic work through active and consistent changed behavior to break out of old cycles. What they're dealing with now is, well, they're not really getting a reciprocated type of love and connection and understanding, right? And I think there is some hidden regret that maybe they kind of sit with, you know, despite it being an Ace of Swords. I think that these types of people are more willing and capable to tell you that you ain't shit, but are never actually willing to be like, oh snap, like you were right and I miss you and I'm sorry and all of that, right? Like I think it's going to take some time. You know, I think that these people, unfortunately, and you likely pick this up, how for they blame you for their own inadequacies, their own unwillingness to change. And it's okay. Like, that's not to say that every single piece of advice is going to work unanimously throughout the entire collective. That would be ridiculous and also egotistical to assume, right? Like, my situation and my solution will be the end all to all type of pain. Like that, it doesn't work like that, right? But to acknowledge, okay, well, like, thank you so much. I worked with you to a certain point. You helped me up to this point. The rest I have to go to someone else because, you know, you're capped. Like that would be a much more mature way of dealing with it, right? I too have had different types of teachers and mentors and such that kind of became more abusive, you know, like they yelled at me for shit that like I was unable to heal, but that's just because they weren't the right types of people. Like for me to be made a mockery out of dealing with some unhealed trauma and then be disciplined for it because I'm having an emotional or physical response, like that just made me go, whoa, like you are not the right person for me, right? So I took what they were able to teach me that was beneficial to me, and then I completely dismissed them as teachers and mentors, and I went somewhere else, right? To be like, hey, can you fill in these specific dots better than the previous person was? And I don't hold it against them, but I have protected my peace and separated from those because we are not ever, at least my goal, I hope, in this world is like we can't hate people for not being able to meet us where we hoped they would, you know? And I think for a long time, Pile 4s, you were likely quite dismissed growing up. Your kindness was definitely taken full advantage of and dare I say even like abused, you know? And I hope that there's more healing to you that comes from within, right? All of this really beautiful work that you do on others, that involution, like I hope that continues to grow within yourself. And despite people misinterpreting your guidance or being, again, unwilling, it's not to say that they're incapable, there's an unwillingness or there's just a mismatch, right? Like you can't go to, I don't know, you can't go to a gymnast with nutritional advice. You know, like sometimes, and yes, it doesn't mean that gymnast, and notice how I'm saying gymnast and not like a personal trainer, okay? there are some people that hold an adequate amount of information and guidance in a particular topic, but if you need a specialist on a particular aspect of your life, like why go to an English teacher about your family trauma, for example? Like, no, like you need a psychologist. Do you know what I'm saying? So being able to accept that you can only meet people and they can only meet you to the point of your specialties is, I think, where it is that you can begin to find more of that acceptance within yourself and what you're here to do with your purpose, right? Because again, you cannot help everybody. And people might have had that expectation of you, which is false. It's false of people to assume that you can just cure them without the willingness to help themselves too. This is a repeated message that's coming through for you, Pal 4, but like, Laud, it's more for you to really truly understand that it was never your fault and you did the best that you could within a particular type of category or specialty, and the rest is for them to fill in the dots too, right? Like this is where we bring in interconnection as a form of healing versus like full-on dependence. And I think that for a long time, Pal 4, they were really dependent on you. And now their karma is to, in fact, miss out on opportunities to heal, right? Like Pentacles in general, this is that physical form. And it's not just money, okay? It's what it is that we embody in the human experience. It's the stuff that is tangible. Sneeze. Ooh, the sinuses today. It went away. It just tickled me and it went away. It's the tangible. It's your physical body. It's the human experience. It's stuff that you have proof of, right? Like there's evidence that supports whatever opportunity is available to you. With it being in reverse, this is a lack thereof, right? I think that them shutting you down and thus shutting themselves down. I don't even want to say shutting you down. They shut themselves down and now they're lost and confused, not really sure which way to go. Probably, again, I will say most likely blaming their circumstances more than taking responsibility of their play and everything. And that's not to say that everything horrible that has ever happened to a person is that person's fault. No. The healing, though, is your responsibility. Right? So all of the bad shit that people projected onto you and done onto you, that was never your fault. That was never your responsibility. But the healing, the overcoming, the ability to set boundaries between yourself and those types of people so that you can never encounter that same type of aggression, etc., from people, that is your responsibility. And this person or people, you really... I think that your absence, your separation, and your willingness to say no, like, okay, you know what, I don't think that we're the best match here. I think that that was a really humbling experience, right? And I think that some people really dislike you for it, Pal 4, but I'm just here to say that that's okay. Like, if it means honoring your peace and also humbly being able to acknowledge that, again, you can't help everybody, that it's not your responsibility. Like people take that the wrong way, right? People take that more egotistically, like, oh, like, I think it's just a bunch of projections and shit. With the 6 of Pentacles in reverse here too, with the 9 of Wands, I mean, there's so much hardship. There's these people or person, likely 2 people or more. I don't know. There's a lot of y'all tuning in here, Pal 4, so bear with me about like the specific details here, but, their karma is to continue to repeat cycles until their willingness to push themselves out and learn their lessons and take accountability and go through the uncomfortable notions that you have definitely gone through, without mistaking that there are some easy fixes to some really deep-rooted shit. That's their karma, and it genuinely, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their own willingness, pile 4. The 9 of Wands here is like there's so much resistance, but yet they're on their high horse. There's so much ego here at play, and ego's not a bad thing. Ego is just that perspective of ourselves and others that keep us safe, right? Like, it's easier sometimes to defend yourself aggressively if it means that you're not going to experience and confront really difficult emotions. And yet, when you feel finally safe enough to be able to do that, the ego subsides and it transforms into another type of ego, right? Like, I mean, there's never a full death to an ego. Ego is a good thing. It's a thing that keeps us safe, right? And yet it can be changed. So any sort of ego deaths that come about for a particular person only exist in order to find a new level of safety. And that has to come through your willingness to kind of like break up the walls around that stone heart in order to let love in order to let safety in. But only people like yourself, pile 4, whom have undergone such difficulties, and maybe you too operated out of a lot of ego and you blamed a lot of other people for whatever it may have been that you had gone through, right? But eventually you learned how to forgive. Eventually you learned how to react differently. Eventually you took leaps outside of those patterns, and you shared your story and you helped yourself in order to help others. Never underestimate your level of greatness and the permission that you allow others to do the same for, okay? And sometimes, yes, that will negatively trigger people who are unwilling to meet you at the depths that you are capable now to meet yourself. You know how much time, blood, sweat, tears it took for you to be able to open up your heart again, to let people in, to love yourself and others, to treat yourself better and to honor yourself better, to, again, there's something about boundaries here that's a really big caveat to my pile 4s. You've likely sabotaged different opportunities and return on investments in the past too. So it's very easy for you, pile 4, to embody a lot of what it is that these people are experiencing as your fault. But it's not. It's just a reflection of your old self. Okay? Please just know that. And the 2 of Swords here, it's like they're constantly given the choice by the universe. Would you want to change, or do you want to stay the same and go through the same cycles of disappointment and repeated patterns that are more hurtful to you? Sometimes, soul fam, we need to experience the same lesson over and over and over again until we decide we're done. Sometimes we need to go through a difficult cycle again. It's not what we want, but it's what we're actively choosing, because if we don't go through another rock bottom, maybe we'll never actually learn how to take accountability and do something different. You are a blessing, pile 4, into people's lives, and you reflect greatness within them. You reflect and offer so much kindness and help people with their involution, their internal ability to heal themselves, to become better. Whatever it is that means for a particular person, we're going to remove ego out of it. Better could also just mean healthier. You offer people that opportunity. And well, sometimes you reflect to people the potential that lives within themselves, but until they are able and willing to embody that themselves, they're doomed to repeat the same types of cycles. And again, pile 4, that is not your responsibility. Period. Okay, I did hear my snaps for you, so those who are new, that does conclude this reading. I do genuinely hope that it helped. Pile 4, you'd probably benefit from listening to another pile or two. There are a lot of similarities here. So if you are drawn to another pile, I do welcome you there. Otherwise, perhaps maybe I hope to see you on Soul Fam Saturdays. That's when I go live for the Soul Fam and channel through some energies. So even if you're a reader yourself and just, you know, kind of want an external source of feedback and guidance, know that I'm happy to offer that to you too. My Soul Fam is absolutely beautiful. It's stunning. You guys are gorgeous, gorgeous souls, and I would be honored to connect with you more. So if not Soul Fam Saturdays, I do hope that you subscribe, join the Soul Fam tribe, and if I don't see you in another pile, I do hope to see you in another video. So much love to you. Chin up. You're doing great, Pile 4. And I'll see you next time. Peace.